What if I told you that one single deal could pay for your entire year of marketing? Every dollar you spend on ads, every tool, every system, all paid back in one commission check. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, last year we spent multiple six figures on ads. We collected 7 figures on commissions for the other agents we worked with. And I've been doing this for over 10 years myself. Ranked top 10 in my brokerage multiple times and personally did $1 million in commissions using these particular systems. And I'm here to tell you it's not only possible, but it's actually the strategy you should be building your entire business around. But here's the catch. Most agents are so focused on getting cheap leads that they completely miss the deals that would actually change their business. I know because I made the exact same mistake and it costed me way more than the $6,000 I wasted. So let me take you back about 6 years ago. I had wasted around $6,000 on a lead gen company, 3 months, 0 deals, totally discouraged, and I was ready to give up on paid advertising completely. But then something happened that changed everything. I was at a networking event, you know, the kind where you're mostly eating stale bagels and avoiding the overly aggressive insurance guy. And I started talking to this woman named Patricia. She mentioned she was thinking about downsizing. Now, the old me would have just handed my business card and moved on, but I had just spent 3 months learning how to qualify leads, ask the right questions, build rapport quickly, all those skills I learned while failing with internet leads. So I asked her a few questions. Turns out she owns a $1.2 million home in a great neighborhood, empty nester, husband recently retired, way too much house for the two of them. Long story short, I listed her house, it sold in 3 weeks, I made $36K in commission. And that one check paid for my entire year of marketing. The $6,000 I wasted, the next 9 months of ads I was planning to run, and the CRM, the tools, everything. One deal, one check changed everything. But here's what really matters. That deal didn't happen by accident, and that's what I want to break down for you today. Okay, let's talk about the math for a second. Don't worry, it's simple math. If you're spending $1,000 a month on marketing, ads, CRM, tools, whatever, that's $12,000 a year. How many deals do you need to close to make that back? Well, your average commission, let's say it's $8,000. You need to close 2 deals from that marketing to break even, just 2. And what if instead of chasing a bunch of small deals, you focused on getting 1 or 2 bigger deals? What if your average commission was $15K? Now, what if you need only 1 deal to profit? What if you went after a $20,000 commission? Now, 1 deal pays for your entire marketing and puts money in your pocket. This is the shift nobody talks about. Everyone's obsessed with more leads, more leads, more leads. But what if you got fewer leads that were actually worth your time? Why I was chasing the wrong leads? Here's what I was doing wrong with that $6,000. The leads I was getting were mostly first-time home buyers looking at 300,000 condos. My first commission on those deals, maybe $7,500 if I was lucky. So even if I closed 1 of those deals, I would have barely broken even on my 3-month investment. I was working my butt off for those deals that would never actually grow my business. Meanwhile, there were people like Patricia everywhere, people with bigger homes, bigger budgets, bigger commissions, and I was completely ignoring them because I thought I needed to focus on converting my leads. The leads weren't the problem, my targeting was the problem. The ideal client map. Let me show you what changed for me. I started asking myself, what does the ideal client actually look like? For me, it was homeowners, not buyers. Sellers usually pay both sides commissions. Homes worth $600K or higher, that would mean bigger commissions. People who were ready to move in 3 to 6 months, not tire kickers. People who valued expertise over discounts, not chasing the cheapest agent. When I started targeting those people specifically with my ads, everything changed. Instead of getting 40 new leads a month, I got 10. But those 10 leads were way better quality, higher intent, bigger potential commissions. And here's the beautiful part of all of it. They cost about the same to generate. Think about that. Same ad spend, fewer leads, but each lead was worth 3 to 4 times more. How one big deal changes everything in your business. That $36K commission from Patricia did more than just pay for my marketing. It gave me confidence. It proved the system worked. It let me invest more in marketing because I knew the ROI was there. But most importantly, It changed how I thought about my business. I stopped trying to be everything to everyone. I stopped chasing every lead. I stopped competing on price. I started positioning myself as the expert for a specific type of client, the person who helps families transition into their next chapter, the person who handles high value properties with care and expertise. And you know what happened? More Patricia starting to show up. Because when you get clear on who you serve, everything gets easier. Your marketing gets easier, your sales conversations get easier, your business gets easier, bottom line. The follow-up that actually matters. Now here's something crucial that I learned from that Patricia deal. Remember how I said I met her at a networking event? That wasn't the first time we had contact. She had actually filled out a form on one of my ads about 6 months earlier. I called her once, she wasn't ready. I put her in my email follow-up sequence. Every week for 6 months, she got an email from me, market updates, home maintenance tips, stories about successful downsizing. Nothing pushy, just valuable information. So when I ran into her at that event, I wasn't a stranger. She knew my name, she had been reading my emails, she trusted me. That's when I realized the fortune isn't in the first call, it's in the follow-up. Most agents call a lead once or twice and give up, but the big commissions, those come from the people who aren't ready right now, but will be ready in 3, 6, or 9 months. When they're ready, you're the obvious choice. What this means for your budget. Here's what this realization did to my marketing budget. I stopped worrying about the cost per lead and started focusing on the cost per quality conversation. Would I rather have 40 leads at $25 each, that's around $1,000, or 10 leads at $100 each, same budget? If those 10 leads were all homeowners with 600K plus properties, I'll take the 10 every single time because I only need to close one of those to make my entire year profitable. With cheaper leads, I'd close 3 to 4 just to break even. This is why the cheap lead companies are actually the most expensive. They give you a lot of leads that go nowhere instead of a few leads that could change your business. The system behind the big deal. Okay, so how do you actually set this up? First, get crystal clear on your ideal client, not who you'll work with, who you want to work with. What's their home worth? What's their life situation? What problems are they dealing with? What do they value? For me, it was empty nesters with 600K plus properties who valued expertise in smooth transactions over saving 0.5% on commission. Second, create content and ads that speak directly to that person. Not want to know what your home is worth that attracts everyone. And instead, thinking about downsizing now that the kids are gone, here's what you actually need to know before you list your family home. See the difference? The second one repels the wrong people and attracts the right one. Third, build a follow-up system that nurtures those relationships. Because remember, Patricia was in my database for 6 months before she became a client. If I didn't have that automation email sequence keeping me on top of mind, someone else would have got that listing. Fourth, get really good at the consultative selling approach. When I talked to Patricia at that event, I didn't pitch to her. I asked her questions, I listened, and I provided value. I positioned myself as the expert guide for her specific situation. That's the skill you have to develop, and it's worth way more than any lead generation secret. Why this works even in tough markets. Now, some of you might be thinking, that's great, but my market doesn't have many 600K homes. Fair point. So adjust the numbers to your market. Maybe your ideal client owns a 350K home. That's still $10,500 in commissions at 3%. Now, you only need 1 or 2 of those to pay for your entire marketing budget. The principle is the same. Target people with the highest potential value, not the highest quantity. In a small market, that might mean you need 5 quality leads a month instead of 10. But again, you only need to close 1 or 2 of them to win. This strategy actually works better for smaller markets because there's less competition for high value clients. Everyone's fighting over the first-time buyers. Nobody's properly targeting any move-up buyers or downsizers. The compound effect. Here's a final piece that made all of this click for me. That one 36K deal with Patricia, it led to 3 more deals. Her neighbor saw a for sale sign and called me. That was a $28,000 commission. She referred me to her sister who was also downsizing. That was another $31K commission. And one of the buyers at her open house ended up listing their home with me. That was another $19K commissions. One deal into 4 deals, $114,000 in commissions, all traceable back to that one networking conversation with Patricia. But it only happened because I had the systems in place, the follow-up, the positioning, the expertise. This is what I mean when I say one deal can pay for your entire year. It's not just the commission from that deal, it's the momentum it creates. So here's where we are. You've just learned the most important lesson I've learned in 10 years of doing this. It's not about getting more leads, it's about getting the right leads and knowing how to convert them into high value long-term relationships. But here's the thing, and I want to be straight with you about this. Everything I just shared with you is a strategy, but a strategy without a custom plan for your business is just information. You need to know what your ideal client actually is in your market, what message will attract them specifically, how to build a follow-up system that fits your schedule, what budget makes sense for your goals, how to have those consultative conversations and close big deals. And that's all custom to you, your market, your experience, your budget, your goals. So here's what I want to offer you. If you want me to actually look at your specific situation and help you create a custom plan for landing your own Patricia deal, that one big commission that pays for everything, I'm offering a one-on-one strategy call. Here's how it works. We'll spend 30 to 45 minutes together. I'm going to ask you about your market, your current business, what you've tried before, what your realistic budget is. And then I'm going to help you identify who your Patricia is. Who's your ideal client in your market that could give you 15, 20, 30K in commissions? Who they care about, where they are, how do we reach them, and I'll map out a specific plan for how to attract them, nurture them, and convert them. This isn't a pitch. I'm not going to try to sell you some $10,000 program. I'm going to give you a custom roadmap based on your actual situation. Maybe that means working with us. Maybe that means something completely different. I don't care. I just want to make sure you're not spinning wheels, chasing cheap leads when you could be positioning yourself to land big deals. Because here's what I know. Every single person watching this video has a Patricia in their market. Someone who's worth 3-4 times your average commission. Someone who needs exactly what you offer. You just need to know how to find them and how to serve them. So if you're ready to stop competing on price and volume and start competing on value and expertise, click on the link in the description, book a time on my calendar. We'll figure out your ideal client, we'll map out your strategy, and you'll walk away with a clear plan. Even if we don't work together after that call, you'll have more clarity about your business and how to attract high value clients instead of just high volume chaos. The link is right there. I'll see you on the call. And remember, you're one deal away from having your entire year paid for. One deal away from changing your business. One deal away from never having to chase cheap leads again. Let's go find that deal together. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more videos like this, and until next time, sell more homes.